is working proper as per normal. Doop-a-doop-a-doop. Okay, yep, we are showing. We are showing on the activity feed. I'm just going to make sure that we are showing on my phone.
Too many eyes.
We are working. Hooray, hooray.
I don't know their names.
Which names?
I was gonna say
the baddies. I guess they're called the Upper Moons.
I
don't know the names of his allies.
I know that Hashira. That keeps coming
outside
up.
of Nezuko. Yeah, like I know the name of the group they're part of, but like
I remember the individual names. Like
Mr. Haganeska. That's what I remember. The sword maker is Mr. Haganeska. That one I remember.
the Hashira headband guy. Kimetsu. There you are.
Hashira headband guy.
Here's my boy.
Okay, but we are live, and thank goodness we are finally done with Demon Slayer, at least for now. Joey,
I enjoyed it.
you have made it to the end, and by the end I mean we are current. You are up to date on an anime. How does it feel?
I will say this one, it was easy to watch. Like
Yeah.
I made it through this in a day and a half. And it was never hard to watch. It was dumb at times. Very, very dumb. But I've gotten that from this show multiple seasons, so why would that change now?
They clearly enjoyed it, dumb.
Yeah, is it dumber than the other seasons? Like, where does this one rank? Because this is probably my lowest overall.
It ranks, I mean, as a comic relief. Like, it feels like a third or fourth sequel. Like, it takes itself way less seriously.
Yeah, it's kind of middle of the road, this one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not quite Superman: The Quest for Peace, but it's...
Yeah, it's the Richard Pryor one.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's Superman 3. Like, bring in Richard Pryor and, like, try to tell some fun little backstory and make it interesting. Add a layer.
I had to make a not wrestling reference for once, is what I had to do there. I was required.
Keep it dorky.
Well, you had to make a comic book reference because the Suicide Squad game just came out.
Yeah, and the entire story is apparently like 9 hours long.
I
play it for free.
Since when did the Arkham games get like the freaking movie screens that still end up like 20-25 minutes long? Like, I feel like that one is like, I can watch this scene from the game. Oh, it's half an hour long? Cool.
That's true, they weren't that long before. This is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, since the story is so short, I'll probably just end up watching it. Like, I hear the gameplay is not very good, but the story is alright, so it's like, okay, I'll just watch it then. I'll treat it like Mortal Kombat.
Like, it's one of those things where they clearly just did the story first, and then interspice some gameplay levels for you to play it. But you're just there to watch a story. It's a movie. You're into playing a movie.
Are we just avoiding talking about this arc, really?
That's right, yes. Since we're here talking about Demon Slayer.
We got to talk R.I.P. Kevin Conroy. That was his last time doing the Batman voice was this game.
Incorrect.
Really?
He is going to be doing a voice of one of the alternate universe Batman in the Crisis on Infinite Earth movie.
Yep. Gonna play a living one.
The animated movie.
So they're gonna computer generate his voice?
No, he already recorded it. It's like a cameo.
Mm-hmm.
They say he already recorded it, but I have a theory about these things. Like, they could just do that now. They could just...
Probably can.
They don't have to tell us. Oh, sure, you find all these, 500 more lines, huh? Go figure, a whole movie here. A whole season of Batman the Animated Series right here. Recorded.
So anyway, Demon Slayer. So when we last left our heroes, they had defeated the lowest of the upper moons. In this one, we get two of them. because the very beginning of this shows us the Infinity Castle and gives us our favorite trope of Demon Slayer, the bad guy meeting.
Yep. Just Lord Zetting it. Just whatever Rita Repulsor and her gang are doing it before the Power Rangers show up, that's just what they're doing. We're evil. How can we be more evil?
And what we learned from this meeting in the later season is Muzan Kibutsuji does not update his rankings.
No. Too lazy. Their names now.
Yeah.
And your name.
He's very much like Fritz von Hansen. He just waits for them to die.
Yeah.
That
Am I
changes
2
the
now?
rankings.
No, you're still 3.
It's like, you can be 4. You were here before.
I'm sorry, that was a very dark wrestling reference.
You're still 10. There's 7 of us left. But you're still 10. You got a 10-ish vibe.
So I guess Marlon, since you're more into like the designs of this, do the upper 2 bad guys, so that's gonna be your number 2 and number 1, do they interest you at all? You have guy who's obviously like a former Demon Slayer because they give that to you with all the subtlety of a flying hammer. And then you have like,
I thought it was the one dude's brother, honestly.
And then you have other demon dude.
I think they're really cool designs. The show always knocks it out of the park with the designs, and even more so with like the twist in terms when it comes to having to actually beat the guys. I have no hope for the story or the personality or anything like that. I mean, so far they've been pretty. With the exception of the last guys, they've been pretty kind of middling for me. The villains on the show, the Mugen Train, kind of most of the guys in season 1. It was only season 3 that really stuck out to me of villains that kind of have like personality and a decent backstory. So I'm not kind of expecting more of these guys. Maybe they'll actually bring out their effort for the last 2, but after this arc, they don't really seem to care that much about people who aren't the heroes. And he pointed that out, that we have more faces here than we have heels. There's a reason for that. That's all they care about. They couldn't care less about the heels on this show. Welcome.
Yeah, I don't know. Kokoshibu's the upper rank 1. Like, his eyes look weird. His 6 eyes that are, like, encompass the entirety of his face.
It's gross, and it's awesome. And I'm sure his fight's going to be great, but that's what I look forward to with this show. It's great fights, and that's their strength, and that's it. I noticed that they kept the comedy down to, like, a minimum on this one. That's a good idea. Good move. Just do fights. No one's watching for anything else anymore.
Agreed.
You're good at fights. Just keep doing that.
I would be interested in like the top 2 guys just because we've established the rankings on this show. So like, okay, so how tough we've seen the upper rank 3 dude already beat one of the Hashira who they built up pretty much. So what can 1 and 2 do?
Yeah, that's it. It's just a mystery box of what can these characters do. It's just a fighting game now. What are your powers? What do you do? That's it. What's the trick to beating you? We found the shtick now, so that's it.
Because I mean, I wasn't interested to learn the backstory of these 2 in this season, but I did want to see like how they fought or how they like what their strengths seemed to be during like the fighting itself.
Which is wild, because you'd think we would, considering one's a snake person. Like, we want to see how that happened, but I don't give a shit. I really don't. I feel like the writers realize that, too. They don't care.
Yeah, they just kind of forget about him after his fight. He doesn't even get, like, an alas poor villain moment. He just gets killed by the Mist Hashira, and then they're like, okay, on to the main fight. On to the main event. This doesn't matter.
Oh.
This guy, the twins and Scott Pilgrim, like, don't give these guys lines. Don't worry about it. They're DJs, and you kill them, and they're done. That's it.
Because he saved some random little boy, because that one Hashira has never, I bet you never saved anyone before, ever. But randomly saves this one little boy because Tanjiro says, by the way, you should be nice to people. Something that, like, why were you a Hashira or a Demon Slayer in the first place? Like, to not protect people? I don't get... But because you did this one good deed, this little boy breathes life into your bubble. and you break out of the bubble.
Yep, he just
With gross
saw
boy
the
breath.
he saw the Joss Whedon Justice League and was just like, oh, save one, and I guess save any really, because there are a lot of Swordsmith villagers who die to fish.
Hey. Save the cheerleader, save the world.
What an obnoxious way to die too.
The giant fish monsters.
Everything was a giant fish monster of these guys. No matter what, just fish. And they would kill you in the most gruesome ways too. So that's the last thing you saw before you died.
Oh, but a good thing the boy actually got saved because the stopper he made for Tanjiro saved him, but he was still bleeding and from the stomach. Like, whatever.
Yeah, he was fine. Like, just a flesh wound. He's okay. He got freaking impaled, but he's fine. It's that Japanese fortitude, you know?
Yeah, a lot of this. So I think the thing that I dislike about the Swordsmith Village arc in general is this is most nakedly the formula, where like there are things that Demon Slayer does where it's like, oh well, it works good in the moment, and then as you think about it, like it just starts not making sense, and then you just like start racking your brain. It's like, wait, so the breathing stuff is just like a metaphor and they're just swinging their swords normally, and as you think about it, it's like, then how is Tanjiro like going into the speed force at the end of this?
Yeah.
And things like that. It's just like, no, don't think about that. Just don't think about the fact that powers don't actually exist and these are humans.
Yeah, I that's what I considered at first. I thought it was all a metaphor until I saw things actually get engulfed in flames that shouldn't be there. So this is actually on fire now? You actually have powers? Okay, cool. Be consistent.
His sword wasn't meant to do that, so that's why the guy got all angry. He's like, "You ruined my sword."
Shit's on fire. Swords shouldn't be on fire. I agree with him. He's right. Hey, ruin a good sword.
But yeah, there's a lot of things that I'll get into, which like the problem is that even thinking about it for 5 seconds after it goes on, like it just doesn't make sense. It's not like, oh, plot holes reason. It's like thematically, like it doesn't seem to work for what they are going for or how to get the emotional punch that it wants. It wants to like just speed run everything, like, oh, I got the emotional punch already in this 5 seconds, now I'm just going to move on to the next scene and call it good. And
yeah,
I don't know, it feels very much like that first episode where Genya really hates Tanjiro, and Tanjiro's like, oh, I'm just going to show you my dick and jump in, and that will make us friends.
Like, why weren't we friends before?
I didn't see my dick.
Hi, Genya.
Keep up. Come on.
Yeah. So, like, now, because Zenitsu isn't on this show, and even though he has his little spiel, I think, in, like, the second or third episode, where they show him... Actually, it is kind of funny, where they show him, like, trying to retrieve him to go back to his mission. Like, nope. Come on, guy. You need to do this. Way to revive from before. And he's just like, I want to go home.
I do like the formula that they keep all the comedy and that stuff for the first 1 hour episode to just get it out of their system real quick, and they go right into the fights. Because we pointed out earlier that the first fight in the last season was just kind of filler because they saw that they had nothing going on to just through a fight here. This one they at least have a purpose. So you just kind of from the jump you get right into these Upper Moon guys, and I feel like it's a lot more balanced out.
Almost. It was still the one cringy anime scene where the one Hashira's running towards him like, oh, be careful, they're gonna fall out. It's like, you have to draw that, animators. Well done.
Well, they had already drawn her completely naked before, so like
now she has clothes.
They had already jumped the shark with Mitsuru.
Kind of a pointless character, not gonna lie. Now that I've actually finished this, like she was pure fan service.
He even says it. She's like, hey, good thing my mission was in this nearby village where I could randomly show up here. Except that we keep it so secretive that we have to, like, not just blindfold Tanjiro, but we have to, like, basically plug his nose because he's part bloodhound.
Yep, just breathing for his mouth the whole time. Can't
like,
hear shit.
Is this place a dairy farm? Like, is it that easy to smell? I don't get.
No, he says the
It's
sulfur
Toyota
from the sulfur from the hot
Oh,
springs
okay.
like affects his scent. That's why he doesn't use it until the very end.
It's a meth making village.
They do the thank you for smoking thing. It's like, oh, thank God we invented the whatever device.
But then they still like, and then even at the end, they still plug his nose and blindfold him at the end. It's like, dude, he just spent like a month fighting here. I'm pretty sure like he can recognize. No.
The village is like half a block.
I'm pretty sure we have established that Tanjiro is not a snitch.
Tanjiro ain't no snitch.
But yeah, at least I can explain, like, Mitsuru, it's like, oh yeah, you're a Hashira, like, we trust you at this point to know this location, like, it's fine, but yeah, it doesn't, it's...
Yeah, she was shoehorned in. She was still shoehorned in. You already had one Hashira. The Mist guy was fine. I felt his backstory was great. He was developed fine. This broad, just like, here you go. Then she's missing for a few episodes, and then she's back.
I disagree on the one dude being introduced. You couldn't have introduced him in a less likable way. Here's this sociopath beating up a child.
Right. He's interesting. He's just like, here you go. What's his character? He beats up kids. Oh, it's personality.
He has like, oh, and he has no feeling about it. I'm yelling at him. You have to have emotions. Like, why?
I don't.
There are emotions.
Yeah,
just like,
the first scene you see him in is basically him telling his lessers, it's like, oh, know your place, peasant. And Marlon's like, oh, so relatable.
Yeah.
Then he runs past and is like, this person is worthless. Let them be slaughtered by this fish monster.
Be nothing to me. The best Hashira yet. Just gives no chance. Just chill.
So I guess before we get into the fight, because the fight is most of the season, I do need to give a shout out, like, for Demon Slayer, a show that's not good when it does comedy. This probably, the first episode probably has my favorite joke of the entire series, which is when Tanjiro is, like, injured and bedridden and just sees Inosuke, like, Spider-Manning on the ceiling, and Inosuke just turns around, it's like, oh, how'd you see me?
I'm glad that's the first and last time we see of him this season. Like, just enjoy your unfiltered Inosuke for a few seconds.
Just being weird.
Doesn't he say something like, I just wanted to make sure you were, like, why you were so lazy, why you didn't wake up, and you waited so long, or something to that nature.
Why are you so weak?
Like, I just saved a town from a nuclear explosion, you pig-headed dick.
Literal pig-headed.
Inosuke is fine. He almost got stabbed in the heart, but he moved his internal organs, as you do.
Right.
Which is not the dumbest thing to happen in Demon Slayer, because the Swordsmith village happens.
So really, who would be the substitutes? Like, who would be Inosuke in this season? Like, if anything, I would say Inosuke, Mr. Haganatsuka, or the Swordmaker dude.
Oh, for me, it was Genya. Genya was 100% Inosuke. The kid of the Mohawk. It was just his voice, his demeanor, everything. You traded Wolverine for the Punisher. It's the same freaking gruff guy.
Yeah,
but there's no Zenitsu. If there's a Zenitsu, it's that one child that's helping him in the first couple episodes.
I feel like there wasn't really a Zenitsu. There was definitely a Rengoku in that broad. Pink hair was absolutely Rengoku. He has boobs now. But Zenitsu, is hard to replicate that energy. That he's a coward, but he's also horny. How do you get to the mind of Zenitsu?
And yet in this entire season, he's not really either. He just tells Tanjiro, it's like, oh, this is how you do thunder breathing.
Yeah, he's just give advice. Like, I'm not here. Do my move for me. It's the same difference. Like, no one's gonna notice. Just do my job for me. Delegate the task. Good move.
So, Joey, since you are into lore, what did you think of the Demon Slayer lore that's just dropped on us in this? So Tanjiro has the memories of his past relatives, so he understands the memory of, like, his great-great-grandfather who knew the first sun breather. and
Yeah,
the sun and the sun breather is this robot, but he is also this demon. And
I mean, like you, like I don't like the
robot.
mythology that I don't like the fate mythology. Like we were born to be this thing, or like someone was predestined based on their birthright. Like I like the idea of this could be anybody.
Yeah.
So making this a birthright, just it does loses me.
It's always what loses me about shonen anime in general, when there's that one thing that makes it special. And it's like, oh, it's a superpower or whatever. Like, why can't it just be a guy who did a thing? People miss why characters like Batman are so appealing and why you lose it to Superman.
Or Spider-Man,
Yeah, you need that everyman factor. You need the relatable factor. If you're not relatable, why am I watching him? It's why I don't like Tanjiro. He has normal people powers, yeah, but there's nothing inside. He's just John Cena-ing it. It's all motivation. It's all Make-A-Wish. I relate more to friggin' no feelings over there than I do Tanjiro. You need something. It's something in there. I forgot what I was going with that. Who are we making fun of?
Kind of everyone, I guess.
You talk about no feelings guy beating people up because it's his birthright.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we were talking about.
Oh, well, he makes sense. He just doesn't feel empathy, that's all. It happens. Sometimes you just don't feel what the other person's feeling.
So because his brother had all the empathy, right? His brother was the one that was wrote emotions, and his brother was killed.
Yep. His whole thing was he had to be strong and tough for both of them. So I guess, yeah. What you got?
As you know, the first brother gets all the empathy, and the second brother just gets Asperger's. It's how it works.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Sorry, I have all these feelings for my son.
In this one.
Good, you know that pain too. Give me that. You don't need to feel all this.
But fortunately, this show does not care about the story in Swordsmith Village, because the fight starts in episode 3.
Yep.
The story is
over with.
Yeah.
It's
I thought they would...
Hey, should we care about the villagers and trying to save them? Tanjiro, I feel like Tanjiro doesn't even say hey, let's worry about the villagers. It's like, no, we just gotta fight.
No.
Like, these people are ready to be sacrificed.
The people are literally faceless. They are all wearing masks. Like, we do not need to understand their character designs. They are just there to be turned into a human tree.
We went from Mugen Train, where the whole design of the whole series mostly is save every last of these random citizens on this train, to a Swordsmith village that is actually a village that is actually critical to what your mission in life is as a demon slayer. But thank God these villagers are expendable.
Yep. Just put mass on them. It's fine. Don't worry about it. We're here to see the fights anyway. Which is why I was kind of surprised. I thought they would at least have some kind of secret villain waiting for the end. That was kind of like their prize. It ended a Jack in the Box for me. But this time they just did this thing where they did 2 storylines at once and just kind of had their cake and eat it too.
Yeah, instead you just get Han Tengu, who is just false finishes distilled into a person.
Yeah, that's and it just kind of cut back and forth, and it almost felt like, why did we even meet this one Hashira? Because he's not even interacting with the main group. He's not interacting with Tanjiro or anything. He's just here. Why are we following him?
It's because he needs to defeat the Upper Moon 5. That's literally all he's there for, and then they forget about him.
Yeah. The Hashira in this were just not that interesting. Compared to Rengoku and the last guy we got,
exactly.
They were kind of just shoehorned in because they needed to be there.
I don't know if that last guy was interesting. That last guy just felt more like just an invincible good guy.
He wasn't invincible. He almost died. And his wives, you could hurt his wives.
So
there was actual stakes there.
So now you get a motionless dude who, yes, almost gets enveloped in some bubble thing. Yeah. But after that, to me, it would have worked if when he's leave him on his side. If you kill him right there, if he makes the ultimate sacrifice fighting this one upper 6 demon, then that works. But when he survives it, or when Genya survives,
yeah,
when he's hey, I eat demons, but I've survived all this time against these upper 6 demons. It makes these two upper 6 just seem like less than.
Yeah, I've been
On
getting
top
that
of,
vibe as we got closer.
which is a shame because their design's so cool. Like I
Yeah,
think the base dude's design is cool. Like
yeah.
it's with the weird mouths, with the eyes, and then with like all the arms where he
Baby
can move
arms.
base to base.
Yeah,
So you can basically just
he
teleport.
he looks like a character Neil Gaiman would come up with. He looks like something straight out of Sandman.
And
Yeah, yeah,
and on top of that, personality wise, they're annoying, but because they're demons, like making them hateable to me works.
yeah.
Like you don't
You can have obnoxious
like you
voices.
shouldn't like them right off the bat. That's actually why I like the backstory of the one emotion dude of the one demon, because no, he's just a terrible dude. He was a terrible dude in life. So, which is kind of a shame because it takes away Tanjiro's empathy for the demons after he kills them. But
Yeah,
this time I'll let it make sense because he thinks his sister is dead.
yeah, but I was just kind of a kill crazy monster. Because we don't care about the villains anymore. We just care about cool fights and cool effects.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter anymore, and that takes me. It takes my investment away a little bit more. Like that's when I was all in on that brother and sister combo, and I guess I saw it. I thought, hey, two villains. Let's just put two in at once, and it didn't pay off as well.
And they did do it again. They all of a sudden they had Nezuko in
they did
act like a little child, and then 2 seconds later, once she starts fighting and she gains the power of sexy, it's just like, oh, gross.
Just their demon
It is
form.
good. She was extra baby in this one too when she was in childbirth. She had like the little chubby arms and stuff like that. You're disgusting. Have you ever seen that one episode of Drawn Together where that guy starts dating that slow person? Like that's what it feels.
Oh, I'll get into the problems with Nezuko, but I agree, Joey, that I feel that the upper rank demons in this case, considering how the thing that I like about Gyotaro and Daki is they still feel dangerous, even though they don't kill any like Hashira or demon slayers as you see them. They feel menacing, but these two don't feel menacing at all. Like the one guy makes a tree of people. Does he feel menacing? Not really, because it's not people we care about. Like Rui, the spider guy, the very first thing that it establishes at the very beginning of that little mini arc is that, oh, these other demon slayers who are the same rank as our heroes, there was an entire army sent in and they were massacred. So it's like, okay, so in terms of power level, we understand like that whatever is in here is incredibly dangerous for our heroes. These guys just felt like filler.
I would agree, and it lessens. I mean, because I like the Rengoku character, it completely undermines his character because you did this. Because like, yes, he lost to one that's one higher rank, but like he fought his ass off, and now it just looks like he died. Well, we already talked about it. Maybe it's seeming like he died for nothing because the demon still gets away, but now it's like, oh, so you just like these two filler demons, the whoever fought them survived easily, relatively easily, compared to especially this or in season 2 or in the entertainment district where they blow up the entire town. So geez, was Rengoku even strong in the first place? Like, that's not cool. I like that character.
I guess my issue of this one is it felt like just all set up to develop the Hashira some more and learn more about their backstory, more so than the villains. But we also got that in the last few seasons, so it felt like we didn't get to have our cake and eat it too this time.
I feel like this was more to develop. It's going to develop this whole Nezuko Muzan Kibutsuji thing.
Yeah. I think they realized that
one more season after this, right? Didn't they announce there's only one season after this?
There's essentially one arc after this because and they're kind of splitting it. So the next quote unquote arc is the Hashira training arc, as it's known. And if they spread out a training arc for 11 episodes, I am very quickly about to check out.
That's not true. If you put the right music, hey, if they put the right music, and I will say, like, this opening theme song for this season was the best one. If you can put out a bunch of songs like that for some training arcs, like go old school Rocky 4, hey, I'll be tuned in for that one.
But after the Hashira training arc, like, Tanjiro is officially a Hashira at that point, and then it's just the Infinity Castle, which is fighting Akaza, it's fighting all of the, like, upper rank demons, and it's fighting Muzan.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but no, give those 11 episodes a piece. I want an 11-episode training arc. You could introduce the rest of the Hashira, you could develop those guys, so that when we finally get to the upper 3, you could just massacre them. Because now we feel bad.
I mean,
kill a bunch of them.
As we know, at being wrestling fans, of course, storylines can change, as we're learning as WWE following WrestleMania. But this show should really only end with Muzan, Kabutsuji, and Nezuko essentially killing each other, right? That to me is like the logical ending.
I bet you could squeeze 3 more seasons out of this, coming to think of it. They set up so much, you're just not delivering on it.
She can't survive. Like, I don't understand, like, because she wouldn't turn into a human at the end. You've already established her as a stay-walking demon. So, you assume that Tanjiro will continue to be a demon slayer. So, to me, like, the only ending that makes sense is Muzan, Kabutsuji, and Nezuko both, like, end each other. And that's the sacrifice that Tanjiro and Nezuko have made. Like,
so I have
human again.
I have read the end of Demon Slayer. I do not remember it. I know this is not the ending because I distinctly remember, like, reading the ending and go like, "Oh, that's really dumb." But to me, like, how you end this series is Tanjiro is the one to sacrifice himself to turn Nezuko human again. I think that
I'll give you that one. But at least there's some sort of sacrifice.
Yes.
So,
animes do love their sacrifices.
But that's, I mean, to me that should be like, I mean, even Harry Potter, like, with Harry Potter surviving at the end of the book, and I know Resurrection Stone and all that stuff, but it still does feel a little bit incomplete. Like, it still even feels like Harry Potter should have still been completely sacrificed at the end of that. But that's another debate for another time.
Yeah, we're gonna agree to disagree on both of those. Like, you don't always need to have the main character be killed off to have a decent ending. Sometimes you could have the guy just survive and give your character a happy ending. You could have that. But with Nezuko, I'm not sure how that's gonna happen unless they find a magical way to bring her back.
I'm too much a fan of Greek mythology, Marlon. I need suffering. I need the hero to suffer.
So, Marlon, you actually gave me a good transition. So, I know that one of the reasons why the Swordsmith Village arc is here is because apparently they the writer wanted to give Tanjiro an unequivocal good ending to a particular storyline. So, like, people survive, like, he doesn't sacrifice anything, stuff like that. And it moves the story along vaguely. I think that there's another side to it, which is that the writer only thought of personalities for X amount of demons, but still came up with the whole 12 Kizuki thing, and was and said, like, oh, well, I only have good things for, like, 5 of these, so she murks the lower ones pretty quick, and then ends up murking 2 more in this one, because, like, oh, I have no real way to show dynamics between these 2 characters either.
Yep, you can see it. You can see it in the Hashira as well. Like, there's way more. We've got for, like, what, 4, 5? There's like 12 of those guys. There's a lot. We get all that development. We're not. There's gonna be a lot of quiet dudes.
But does this work? Does the Swordsmith Village arc work because it gives Tanjiro a good ending, or is it something where we should have done something to have a sacrifice in this arc? Should, like, Genya have died? Should some demon have killed something that was, like, an upper rank or something?
Absolutely.
Like, some meaningful sacrifice instead of the villagers. Like, even if it's going to be Mr. Haganeska, while he's like sitting there sharpening the sword and making the demon all mad because he's so concentrated on sharpening the sword,
Yeah, but
because
he's
that's
fine.
his craft. Like, instead we get the dumb ending where he's chasing around Tanjiro, and Tanjiro's afraid of the swordsmith guy, but that's
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, so the major spoiler in this one is Nezuko. And granted, I was talking to Marlon about this. Like, the major spoiler of this is given to you in the intro because they show Nezuko like standing in sunlight. So, oh, I wonder what's going to happen in this series. But the whole thing that she is immune to sunlight, and it, like, the show doesn't even linger on it. This is where I think the show is ruined by its own formula, because if you shoved like the whole Nezuko being burned up by the sun into episode 10 and had the moment where she like kicks off Tanjiro, and it gives you, hey, this is every Nezuko moment from the from all of the series, and then it just went to credits, it's like, okay, cool, 10 out of 10. I don't care if you bring her back in the next episode. You have done what you needed to do. But they give you 10 minutes. 10 minutes of like Tanjiro being mad when he was already mad. Like, the entire like episode and a half between the second to last episode and final episode is Tanjiro yelling.
No, and I agree with, like, he doesn't need an added reason to kill this demon. Like, how much more personal are you going to make it? He's already upper 6. So they've already been fighting for like 6 episodes. So yeah, like, what stakes are raised by this happening?
Yeah. I guess the stakes was supposed to be the threat to Nezuko. Like, I guess that's, in that respect, they won. They had me on the edge of my seat thinking there was supposed to be some kind of sacrifice this season. I thought Nezuko would have been it if it wasn't for Tony telling me that. Nezuko absolutely would have been it, and then surprise, there's no sacrifice. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with the whole everybody deserves a good ending thing. Not everything has to be a Greek tragedy, and I mentioned that earlier. But the issue is there's no reason to care about the villains either. So it just kind of felt like we went nowhere.
That's where, like, this show, because if you're giving away the beginning already and you already know what you're doing, why can't you mention in the bad guy meeting, like, hey, I want you to also learn more about this demon, this one who is one of us but fights against us? Like, then at least this ending like resonates more. But instead you don't do that. You just do it, and it just makes it looks like Da Vinci Code, where like the main character just randomly gets saved by doves flying out of nowhere for no reason.
Yeah, or even if like, even if Han Tengu got away to report back to Muzan, I think would have been a better ending. Like, you kill one upper rank demon, you still have this one in your back pocket. You can murk him quickly. Like, we've already established that he's not super powerful by comparison to,
and he's like, severely weakened. You're assuming because he's out in the open. Yeah.
And where's that cat? Did you just forget about the cat blood?
No, they bring her back. They go like, oh, because it's kind the end of this arc is really stupid, because granted you had this going on in the background so you didn't see the later half, but yeah, they bring the cat back to, and then she's like writing a letter going like, oh, I don't know if you'll get this, but you know, I've been researching Nezuko's blood and I think she's immune to sunlight, and it's like this whole thing of like explaining the plot to you,
which we already saw.
And in the midst of that they also go like, oh yeah, and by the way, Nezuko is not a woman of her age, like her mind is still like a child or something like that. It's just so bad. It's
also uncomfortable. But yes, like, why didn't you like put that scene where she explains about Nezuko's blood before we realize she's still alive and in sunlight? Like, again, but whatever.
It's a convenient way to explain the thing we just saw. That's all.
This show is very good at getting in its own way.
Yeah. Like, there's some great ideas, but I guess, for me, a lot of the best ideas are just simple stuff. It's really good at just a basic fighting show. Just stay away from comedy. Your comedy's not that good. It's just there to take up space and time. So just stick with making sad villains to beat up. That's your shtick. You make sad villains be beat up. Just save the sad part for after, so you feel bad after and not before, so I don't feel like a jerk.
Yeah,
that's been their strength.
Even sadder villains to beat up than Bleach had, and Bleach was full of sad villains.
Yeah, that's been that's what's missing this season, and that's I think we all touched on that. Is that they died, they didn't give us a reason to mourn their deaths, and then it was just over. And we're back with Tanjiro and not his sidekicks, the best parts of the show. It's like they wanted the season to fail, you know. That's just my opinion. It would have been the worst if not for Mugen Train being so dull.
Ooh, I'd say Mugen Train's much better than this one.
Mugen Train had that weird random ending. It's like, hey, here's a guy, and he killed your guy, and it's gone, and the movie's just over.
Yeah, so since we are caught up on Demon Slayer, I will we'll do some Demon Slayer awards here, because there's not much to talk about this season because it is just a fight against a couple puzzle bosses, and a couple episodes of lore, really. So the first question is going to be, where do you rank this overall? Like, if you split up season 1, feel free to split up season 1. But where does this rank against the other arcs, in your opinion?
Second to last. Easily.
I'd say second to last. Although we might have a different spot in what is last, but yes, second to last.
Mugen Train is absolutely still last for me. Just it's the dullest one. They're in the same setting the entire time. Nothing really changes. Here's the forest. Here's a train. Here's the forest. Here's a train. It's dull.
Yeah, this is bottom for me. Like, I can't, even the lowest episodes of season 1, like, there was still something good in there. Like, yeah, you get a whole bunch of boring fights, but at the same time you get this really good training and you get this really good intro in the first half. Yeah. It's like, okay, so I can't count against that. So how about the second half when you're just introducing Hashira? It's like, well, you get literally the best, like, series of fights that this show has had, in my opinion. I know, Marlon, you disagree.
Yeah, all of season 3 is so, the entire thing.
But yeah, I this is not a high arc for me. So yeah, we're all in agreement that it's not very high enough.
We were all in agreement as 3. Regardless of the other numbers, we agree this is number 3.
Has it at the bottom.
Yeah.
Bottom. Okay. This is like a 3 or a 4. This is your Richard Pryor Superman, all right.
So I guess, what would you rank as best fight overall in this series so far? Because
final fight with what's his name with the sickles in the last one. That dude's just awesome.
I like the Rengoku Akaza fight a lot, just because I like the overbearing, just like the obstacle being too big for even the strongest guy.
Yeah.
Going like, dude, I can keep regenerating and you're just going to keep fighting and I'm going to break you down. Like, for whatever reason, even though that fight doesn't last that long, otherwise it's the season 1, the kid.
Yeah, Rui against Tanjiro, which is my top.
Yeah, that was really good. Mm-hmm. But I'm still a fan of the twinsies. The twin magic thing in the last one was really good. They tried it again with this one by making it 5 guys.
Not only 5 guys, like 8 guys.
Like 8 different guys. You liked it last time? Oh, let's do it 8 more times.
They keep splitting like the Hydra, but at least they get weaker. Like, that is just...
Yeah. The last one had some real stakes. You had to cut off both their heads at the same time, and they're both proven to be insanely strong for a solid 11 episodes. No, that's my favorite. They win.
So, and this is going to be different than Best Fight. Best overall, like, anime hype moment that this show has had.
He's not dead!
Which one?
The last one where like Tanjiro like finally I thought he killed him. He had like the blade in his mouth and he like kills the
Oh,
final guy, blows up the whole place, and I thought the show was over, and he's not dead. I still have to fight him. Tanjiro's like going blind and stuff. I want to watch that season again. Season 3 was so good.
learning learning that Muzan Kibutsuji kills a doctor that was actually helping him, basically kills him for no reason. So showing a sword just in the back of his head.
Yeah.
But mine is still again the Rengoku Akaza fight, because even as the moment, because again it shows the overwhelming just power of these 12 Kizuki, who as we've gone on is not nearly as imposing as it starts, but
That one guy's really powerful. We find out that one guy is really strong. Not his friends.
Yeah.
Not that much.
Mine is tied between like Tanjiro first doing his flame breathing thing, because the soundtrack is perfect in that, like the animation is perfect, like that's all encompassing, like this show banging at all cylinders in my opinion. And the other one is going to be not necessarily the end of the fight against Gyotaro, but the portion where the fight ranks up and like Tengen is alive and he goes like, I can read it now, and then just them like essentially doing like the back and forth punches that you do in wrestling, except it's anime, so things are exploding.
Yeah.
That's
just screaming at each other. It was amazing. Like, I never make fun of anime for this stuff, and even I was hyped to watch this stuff. Like, even I feel like a weeb watching this. Like, I could get back into anime thanks to Demon Slayer. I can make this a regular thing. Just make it just dumb fights. Stop trying to over-explain your lore. Stop trying to get me involved in it. I don't care. I really don't. I don't care about your 12 Hashira. I don't care about your what have you. Just give me the really cool ones. I'll pick my favorites. I like my Piccolo. I like my Vegeta. I don't need to like all the friends. I don't need to like the whole.
I want to see Marlon. Basically, I want you to immerse yourself in this weird like Demon Slayer world where like,
No, I'm not doing that.
Both of you fight. I got a fistful of change right here. The winner gets the coins.
At an anime con or something. Still know these characters' names. Like, I know you're Demon Slayer.
So Joey, since you are now caught up on a shonen anime, in this, at the end of the day, is an anime for children. Like, this is an anime for teenage boys.
Yeah,
this is dumb. This is a dumb kid show.
I do not think that anything can surpass like Batman the Animated Series. So I can't say like, oh, is this better than the kids shows that we watched as children, because Batman the Animated Series is right there, which is perfect in all ways. And
but not fair. Our shows were like parents smoking in front of us. They didn't know how dangerous it was. They're just saying wild adult things in front of us, like, kids can watch this. This is fine.
But can you understand the appeal of Demon Slayer as if it were like a Saturday morning cartoon show? Like if
of course I could.
If Jace was 8 years old and you saw him watching Demon Slayer, would you have a problem with this?
Wow.
This is stupid.
There are some things where I'd be like, we gotta watch this a little bit. But then again, I just had to have a conversation with our 7-year-old about watching Bluey. So that's eye of the beholder. But like, no, like realistically, it's an easy show to watch. Like I said, I finished it in a day and a half, and I was still entertained by it. I didn't love it, but it's something, again, I can watch, turn my brain off. Like, I just want to see these two fight. Cool. I got like 5 episodes in a row of it. So,
in that regard, now that you bring it up, in that regard, if we're considering all of season 1, all 26 episodes, one thing, that's the advantage this might have over it, in that you can just turn your brain off and just enjoy it as a whole. Season 1 has really good spots, and then other spots will bring down the entire average. This is just, there's no insane lore to bring it down or anything. There's no insane amount of talking. It's just people fighting for 10 episodes. So nothing really to complain about here. Good chicken's good chicken.
I grew up watching the X-Men and Spider-Man animated series. If you want to talk about lulls for episodes at a time, we will talk about those shows.
Spider-Man didn't have that many lulls.
They weren't lulls
X-Men
because their
did,
story was good.
Spider-Man.
See, at least of X-Men Spider-Man, it was character development. This is just, oh, look, hi, everybody, a joke. Wow, they're dressed like girls.
No, for 3 episodes at a time, Wolverine and Cyclops are sad, and Mr. Sinister is being a creep. That is late X-Men for you.
It wasn't as bad as the Silver Surfer show, where they just monologue for episodes at a time. Just Thanos talking to himself in space. No one else in the room. So in that regard, no, the show could use some more character development, but compared to season 1, this is fine. It got my hopes up after the last one a lot, and now I just don't see the same level in this season. The same care is just not there. They're coasting. This is a coasting season.
Like Mugen Train elevated me because the characters, at least in there, were interesting.
Not for me.
While at least in Entertainment District, for as much as I didn't like it, like you were saying, Marlon, I still at least have the 2 sidekicks where they're presented in an environment where their characters still work. Zenitsu is still placed in the Entertainment District, so there's horniness all around him. We've established him as the horny sidekick, and he does a complete 180 character change, which at least makes it interesting. And then you have Inosuke, who's there, basically be super warrior against these super demons. This one, because we're trying to introduce new people, it's it falls way off. Sorry, why again? You're killing faceless villagers, like we've said. So we've established there are no stakes for these people. They don't care about them. And then there's these side characters who, if they died, we wouldn't feel anything.
Yeah, and I still don't care about Pink Hair Lady.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I know about as much about these Hashira people as I did before the show started, except for Mist Guy and his crazy, crazy sad backstory. But I know more about him than I do Pink Hair Lady. And even after seeing their backstories, it still very much felt like this could have been an email this season. It feels like these could have been side episodes in a larger story. Instead, it feels like the season was written around them and it didn't even work.
Yeah, and I agree with that, because I feel bad about Pink Hair Lady, because it feels like her backstory was something that an animator forgot. So all of a sudden they turned their paper in a week later.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, we better rewrite this. She's a demon slayer because she grew up crazy strong. Anything else?
Yeah, every other Hashira has this super super tragic backstory. Even Rengoku, it's his father is a broken man, and he learned to be a Hashira almost in spite of his father's wishes and all this other stuff. And it's how about Mitsuru? It's her family's supportive, and she just kind of became a Hashira because no one else would marry her because her hair is weird.
Because she's strong, she's unseemly strong.
They found out that you could just stay home if you want. You're gonna flip the coin over this, really? You don't have to do shit. But no, there were no real stakes in this one. And I feel like they're running out of steam with the Hashira, and that's why the next one's a training arc. I think we're gonna speed run the next few Hashira and not really get that attached to them. I'm just getting myself set up for that.
So Joey, is the final episode of this interesting enough that the final episode and the first episode of the next season, so it's going to be a 2-hour movie, is going to be coming out in late February 22nd. Are you going to go to it so you get a shot at the new arc?
I probably wouldn't go to it, but I probably would watch it. Because the one thing that this show also has going for it, Muzan Kibutsuji is a very interesting bad guy.
Yeah.
So as long as you keep him in there, then I will tune in.
He's intriguing, as in I know nothing about him, and I want to
How-
know more.
Well, and he's super so how on earth would these demon slayers encounter him? And what I'm assuming is that one Hashira that's scarred on the top of his face, I'm assuming is like either his brother or it's going to be like his like long lost relative.
No, the Wind Hashira is Genya's brother. That's what's established in his backstory. Because Muzan
Kabutuji, I'm willing to bet is related to the dude that's got like the scarring over his face.
Oh yeah. Oh, the main dude. Yeah.
Because that's the dude they're looking for, right? That the 12 Kyuzuki are supposed to be looking for that dude.
Yep.
Whereas, yeah.
Sorry, my cat is literally pushing the bowl underneath the door at me. That's freaking great. It's very distracting. Like, what's that noise? It's just porcelain being dragged across the floor. Sorry, continue.
So Demon Slayer fight right in front of you, Marlon.
So is Demon Slayer something to continue with after the next arc completes?
Like,
I
yeah,
leave that to the
started
expert.
it.
Or
Like, it's one of those might as well things, but
Yeah.
I'm not going out of my way to watch it.
We do not want to watch One Piece or My Hero Academia or something, so we stick with Demon Slayer. Is that basically what it is?
That's pretty much. I do want to watch My Hero Academia though. Now that I've seen Demon Slayer and it's grown on me, I haven't given it enough credit. I'll give My Hero Academia a fair shot.
Okay.
Do we watch the live action One Piece as a change of pace?
So next we are going to be doing Samurai Champloo. So that's on Hulu. That is going to be a very different feel because that's made by the same dude who made Cowboy Bebop.
Which grew on me, so
I do not know if I will be disagreed with here. I absolutely hate the Samurai Champloo intro. I listened to it again today, and I really hate it.
Well, I mean, the outro is where it's at, but I like the intro.
No, the intro with it sounding like a few rappers like recorded in a bathroom, and it's like the sound is really off, and it just doesn't sound good in my opinion. But
like these Japanese guys just discovered rapping. Try it real quick.
Yeah, we'll get Joey's opinion on it.
Cowboy Bebop's band sounds garage bandy. So
yeah, they sound good.
Sound garage bandy.
I think the difference is Cowboy Bebop's music doesn't really have vocals, and if they do, it's like classically trained like jazz singers and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
These are Japanese rappers, just rapping about feudal Japan.
Yeah, because the concept of Samurai Champloo, Joey, is feudal Japan mixed with hip hop.
Yep. Which, come to think of it, sounds cliche now. Like, it's just how Japan operates.
Yeah, this was also in the early 2000s when this was a thing that was cool.
Yeah, Kill Bill came out, so it's just Kill Bill everything. Put the RZA in it.
So it sounds like Wu-Tang Clan ripoff with cartoon fighting. Okay.
That's it. It's like we watched Kill Bill and said that's a good idea, and that's all it was.
Yeah, but and I looked at the episodes. It looks like we are splitting this into two because it's 26 whole episodes in the entire series. The episode 13 is the beginning of a two-parter, so we'll just watch the end of the two-parter. So we'll go to episode 14 and then do the rest on a second month. But yeah, we spent 5 months with Demon Slayer.
Cool by me.
Not
now
even that many episodes, really.
Not that good. It doesn't deserve a fan base, but that's just me.
28 plus 26, so yeah, so 54 episodes.
Yeah.
So
it's all right.
It made it into nice digestible chunks. I do like the 11 episode season.
I guess I could see why something like this would be popular. Maybe I'm just burnt out or spoiled by streaming TV. I could see this airing on Toonami at 5 p.m. and rushing home to watch it. I could see being hyped for like watching this fight every day because
you're gonna watch more streaming TV, Marlon.
Yeah, it's just that now that I have options, I have no real reason to watch this. If this was on and then, oh no, adult shows are coming on afterwards, I better watch my cartoons now. I see the appeal as a child, but as someone who's like, I got Netflix, I could just watch something else. I got internet, I could just go watch porn.
No, and
There's no real
there's
reason to
enough
go watch
blood
this.
there's enough blood and violence in Demon Slayer to make it feel like you're getting away with something. I understand, as someone who watched Bleach at like a similar age, that I noticed that a lot of people are watching Demon Slayer. It's like I understand at least the appeal of it.
Yeah.
I personally do not think it is better than Dragon Ball Z. I think the highs of Dragon Ball Z are higher than this show attains.
Yeah.
But
And in a lazier way too. Like Dragon Ball Z, it's like old school Ric Flair matches that are somehow still thrilling without jumping off the top rope or anything. Like I don't know how they do it. These villains are shit, but I'm invested somehow.
You both would know better than I would, because this is the age when you probably grew up watching anime. Would this anime be worthy of Adult Swim?
yes.
Yeah, easily.
Like there's enough violence in this that it would not be on regular Toonami. If it was, it would be cut to hell.
It'd be like a 10-minute show.
But yeah, this would be, because back in the early days of Adult Swim, it was the shows you got. There were 3 shows. You had Uncut Dragon Ball Z, which basically you just got to see the blood not painted over, is what it came down. They said "damn" a lot. You had Uncut Gundam Wing, which they just say "damn" a lot. That's about it.
That was more dang.
Gundam Wing is fucking trash, and I love it. And then you had Cowboy Bebop. So that's how a lot of people got into Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah. It was what got me to Adult Swim, essentially. It was the promise that here's anime you normally see on Tsunami, but played late at night, so maybe you'll see a boob.
Yeah, I don't even think it was considered to be Adult Swim back then. I think it was like Toonami After Midnight or something. Like, that's how they first... No, this was back when it was just like DBZ Uncut and Gundam Uncut.
Yeah, that stuff was Tsunami After Midnight.
It sounds like high praise, though. It sounds like high praise, because you just mentioned 3 shows that pretty much resonate, that have at least, according to you both, and I know other people that are fans of the genre, 3 shows that have resonated with people to this day: with Dragon Ball Z, Gundam Wing, and Cowboy Bebop. Now, you think this show, Demon Slayer, will resonate with this next generation of anime fans the same way that those previous shows resonated with you?
I know it has. I've seen people with the shirts. I've been to conventions.
I've seen the cosplays. I've had other friends try to get me into this and explain the show to me as I'm watching it. Then you guys did it. I'm like, all right, I guess I'm actually watching this now. I guess I don't have a choice.
Yeah,
just
peer pressure.
Sometimes you just need your friends to be haters with you, is what it comes down to.
It's like it's good, but it's still anime. It's still doing anime shit.
I thought that was our job with Jujutsu Kaisen.
God, that was just regular shit. That was bad.
I haven't watched the new season of Jujutsu Kaisen yet, and I'm scared. Like, I watched the first season, and I remember liking it, but I don't remember a lot that happened. So if I were to watch Jujutsu Kaisen, like the new one, I would need to start the show from the beginning, and I don't want to.
I guess my issue with a lot of these shonen animes is like they make me feel like I'm a kid watching it. Like they remind me a lot that this is a kid show. I don't at least get out of comic books and things like that. It's like, I know this is for kids, but I'm enjoying it. It's written like an adult would read it. This, it's like, here's an adult situation, and here's a boy dressed like a girl. And it'll do that often enough that I kind of go, okay, guess I feel kind of shamed watching this. I'm going to watch something with adults now. Because this is clearly for a 10-year-old's humor palette. And it's jarring. It's like having filet mignon and then here's some fries and some ketchup. Just on the side here. It's a weird mix. So I see why it's a hit, but it's mostly because it's a kid show that sprinkles in violence and blood and boobies, and that's how it gets them back. That's how it would get me back in the 8th grade. That's all they did. And here's boobs right now.
Yeah.
In tickling muscular men. That part.
Yeah.
Was,
And muscular men, because
You're
I did, of
fine,
course,
like,
draw a lot of muscular men.
I'm fine for drawing muscular men. I'm just weirded out by the like, hey, here's his weak spot, tickle, tickle, tickle. Like one of those where like the comedy
It's
doesn't go
gratuitous.
right a little bit. It's just the comedy part of it. I don't care
Yeah.
about the drawing. It's just like the comedy.
That's what it is for me. The comedy reminds me that it's a kid show. Because you bring up Batman the Animated Series earlier, I think of Animaniacs, Tiny Toon Adventures.
Yeah, but
where-
Animaniacs, as much as I can hate Animaniacs at times, I still understand the humor of. We got Pinky and the Brain from Animaniacs.
That's what I'm saying,
like-
though. Our humor was just smarter. This humor feels dumb as crap, so it feels like it's for a dumb kid, and I feel like a dumb kid watching it. And you ever watch a show that insults your intelligence to the point, like, if I watch this, I'm an asshole for watching it now. Now I'm the idiot, so I have to turn it off. That's how I felt watching this.
There's not a level of sarcasm with today's humor anyway, in the same
Yeah.
way. Like, I mean,
Subtlety's gone.
there are certain comedies that more resonate now that I just don't find as funny
Yeah.
that other people do. Like, it's like the new Mean Girls musical doesn't have the one-liners as the original Mean Girls, so it's way less sarcastic, way less snarky.
Yeah. It's less snarky. They try to. I don't know how to describe it. It's less mean spirited.
I was
trying to hurt a lot of
actually.
that feeling.
I read a Twitter thread the other day about the person was lamenting the fact that it's like a comedy today. They called it like the LA-fication of comedy, where a lot of our comedy comes from people on the West Coast primarily. So everything is like a West Coast sensibility, while the like comedy through the 80s, 90s, and even the early 2000s to an extent were all from either the East Coast or a bunch of college dropouts in the Midwest.
Yeah, it was the height of mean-spirited comedy. Now we're going back through. It's okay. We can laugh at things without making fun of people.
Yeah, Mystery Science Theater was an institution. Like, that's just that was just made by a bunch of low-budget people in Hopkins.
Yep. Just doing shit that apparently we all did watching movies anyway. Like, let's just record this. And then podcasts were invented.
So where do we fall with Demon Slayer as it stands? I kind of feel like we're all at 3s at this point, but
I would put it at
3 out of 7. Yeah.
Again, because it's watchable. I can still watch it. It's just is it largely forgettable after I'm done? Yeah, but like for the time being, it entertains me.
Yeah, the faults mainly lie in the script, but the animation is gorgeous. It's a very pretty show, especially the fights. And the violence feels not gratuitous somehow. It's gross, like you're seeing limbs being chopped off and ripped off, but it doesn't feel like you're watching a Sam Raimi movie, which is kind of neat. It feels really palatable. So it's a very pretty show to watch, and then someone will open their mouth. It's like, that's right, an 8-year-old's watching this. It can't be too smart, or else you'll alienate the kids.
Don't show the demon eating people. Show a fish eating people.
Yeah, it's a fish now, so it's zany. It's fine. Look at its like googly eyes, so you don't have to be afraid of it.
Yeah, so for March and April, we'll be doing part 1 and part 2 of Samurai Champloo. We'll probably stay with adult-themed things beyond that. I think we might either do Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex with cyberpunkness, or we'll do Paranoia Agent. Or not Paranoia Agent. That's not the one I'm.
Oh wait,
we
did it.
Yeah, we did.
Do it again.
No, it's I was thinking of God, what's Psychopaths is what I'm thinking of.
Psychopaths, yeah.
I always confuse the two names, and they're very different shows. But either way, we need some downers, and Ghost in the Shell or Psychopaths will serve that and give us some cool technology to look at.
Fine. Football season's ending. I need a reason to be sad.
But yeah, it sounds like after that we might be going back to Demon Slayer, except it might be in the middle of the season, so we might be doing a season of My Hero Academia if Marlon wanted to do that by that point. So yeah,
Marlon's due to pick. Like
Hero High.
Like I picked all the time or.
I can't get into it by myself. I seem to struggle doing that. But watching it with you guys, I might be able to finally see what the show's about.
Yep. And if viewers or anyone wanted to follow along with us, it is Samurai Champloo is on Hulu. You can watch it with or without commercials, depending on which tier of Hulu you're at, or you can find it on Crunchyroll. But either way, it's there. It's dubbed and subbed, so everything is there. And yeah, that's about it.
Yo.
Demon Slayer's all right.